9:05, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. Early voting continues here in the state of Texas, and here in West Texas, we encourage you to get out and vote. If you haven't voted yet, get out and vote for sure.
Polls are open.
That's right. That voice you hear, that's Curtis Parrish, Republican candidate for Lubbock County Judge. Here, of course, in Lubbock. And Curtis, welcome back to the show.
Good to be here, Chad. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, like I've been saying, I think this is one of the more interesting races and one of the bigger races that at least those in Lubbock get to vote on, and those in Lubbock everywhere in Lubbock County get to actually vote on.
And I agree. And what we're finding is that people are going to the polls almost exclusively to vote for this race. Yeah. This is the one that has people excited. Of course, there's other very important races as well. But 4 years ago we had an open seat in every state house. Every state seat was open, governor, lieutenant governor, et cetera. This year, not so much. And so some of those incumbents don't really have a major candidates. And anyway, that's not getting people out to vote. It's those local races. It's these local judge races that people are really getting excited about, including the race that I'm in, the county judge.
When you go around and talk to people, this week or last week, as early voting has begun, do you find more and more people are becoming educated in this race, and they know, I guess, somewhat of what this race is all about?
Yeah, and that was our intent from the beginning. 95% of the people plus have no idea what the county judge does, what the duties of the county judge are. And it has been our goal during this campaign to raise that awareness, to remind people this is what the county judge does. This is what the county judge oversees. This is what the jurisdiction of the county judge is when it comes to the legal matters. And then show how my experience, my education, and my willingness fit within those qualifications of Lubbock County Judge.
Obviously, you've been stressing your judicial experience. You've been and saying that this job is 75% judicial.
That's correct.
So let me ask you this about that side. Is there anything on the judicial side that you would be doing different than what Lubbock County has been used to? In other words, what on that side do you bring to the table other than you're an attorney and your other opponents are not attorneys?
Well, one of the things is that I would be qualified and willing to hear all of the cases from the Lubbock County Court. Every single probate, every single guardianship is filed in the Lubbock County Court, all of them, including all the mental health cases as well. So I'm willing and able and educated and experienced enough to handle all of those cases, and not just a portion of those. So this is where we come to this 75% of the job is judicial. This is the court of jurisdiction for all of those cases, all of them. The other thing, too, and what you realize is that this body of law in probates and guardianships, especially in guardianships, has changed so dramatically at least over the last year, when the Texas legislature added 19 new guardianship laws to the books. So this is an area of law that has grown and changed so dramatically and has become more complicated. And we're all kind of scrambling, even attorneys who practice in this area, kind of scrambling to figure out exactly what the legislature has done for us, or to us, or against us. We still can't figure that part out yet, but it has changed dramatically. And so as an attorney that practices in this area, that's what I'm able to bring to the judgeship, and to be able to then elevate that and to be able to shepherd those guardianship cases and probate cases through the county court system.
Is that, when you say all cases, all probates, all guardianships, mental health care, when you talk about it, that sounds like it would be a lot of work for one guy to do.
It is, and that's why it's important that we elect an attorney who understands the law and is knowledgeable in the law and experienced in the law to be able to handle those cases. Again, Lubbock County is growing, 303,000 people in Lubbock County. And so it's an area of law that's growing in numbers and growing in complexity of its cases. And so that's why we feel it's very important to elect someone who is knowledgeable in this area and is able to shepherd those cases.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I don't know if you know the exact figure here, but do you know how many of those cases would go, let's say you win, do you know how many of those cases would go through for the Lubbock County Judge? Do you know how many cases a week that you've been hearing?
Currently the judge hears about 30 to 40 probate cases a week, and about 8 to 10, about 5 to 6 guardianship cases a month, probably 8 to 10 mental health cases a week as well. And in those guardianship cases, you realize that the judge has to leave the courthouse to be able to hear those. Those are heard in the hospital and the treatment facilities. They're not heard at the courthouse. So the judge is required to leave the courthouse to hear those. And so of those, I mean, those are the numbers we're talking about. Many of those are fairly simple cases, these fairly simple probate. Some of them are very complex and require a great deal of time. But each case, and especially in each guardianship case, I've heard a couple of my opponents talk about uncontested guardianships. Well, if you know about guardianships, every one of them are contested. By their very nature, all guardianships are contested. And I have experience in both simple guardianships and complex. And I've actually been an attorney in a jury trial on guardianships. So this is an area of law that I'm very much familiar with and very much have an expertise in.
So if you were elected, which of those cases would you kick to county court at law? Because, and we talked about this last time you were on,
we did.
One of the candidates for county court at law says that the contested cases go to his court. Which cases would be kicked to that position? My intent is to hear all the cases. That's my intent. Now, county court at law 3 or all the county court at laws 1, 2, and 3 have what's called concurrent jurisdiction. And that means that if for some reason I have to recuse myself of a case, whether it's a former client or a family member, judges often have to do that. If they've got a close personal relationship with that case, they can't hear that. Right.
And so there has to be a court of concurrent jurisdiction to be able to hear those cases that court can't hear. All of them, district court judges, county court at law, JP courts, they all have that. The county court, its court of concurrent jurisdiction on probates and guardianship matters, is the county court at law.
Okay, so let's say you have 30 to 40 probates per week.
That's correct.
Let's say we're going to go high side, 40 per week, okay? We're going to put a lot of work on you.
Let's do
5 to 6 guardianships a week, right?
A month, probably.
A month, okay. So we'll say
one or two a week.
Yeah, we'll say 1 or 2 a week there, 5 to 6 mental health cases per week. When it comes down to budget season, how are you going to fit in both all of those cases and get a handle and lead the county commissioners when it comes to budget season and a budget that could be tricky at times?
Well, I'm very efficient at time management, for one, and then it's a matter of setting aside that time, setting aside a day, a week, to be able to handle the business, the administrative duties of Lubbock County, and then set aside time as necessary to be able to handle that as well. But when you are talking 75% of the job and 25% administrative, you're setting aside basically 1 day a week to be able to handle the ongoing day-to-day business of Lubbock County, or just setting aside time during the in between court sessions, or in the afternoons, or in the evenings, or early mornings. I'm an early morning guy, and so I like going into work very early in the mornings. And so that's a great time to be able to get through your paperwork, maybe answer some correspondence, some letters before your day begins. And so it's just an issue of time management more than anything. But it's very doable. Our current county judge has been doing it now for almost 20 years. And other counties our size, the county judge, and I just got off the phone with a county judge who does the same thing. And so it's not an issue of can it be done. The issue is who is capable, willing, and able to do the job.
When we come back, we'll talk more about Curtis Parrish's campaign. We'll get into some other issues, and we'll have one more segment with Curtis Parrish.
Thank you.
Chad Hasty Show, KFYO. We'll be right back. All right, Chad Hasty Show, News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. Thank you very much for tuning in, visiting with Curtis Parrish, Republican candidate for Lubbock County Judge here in studio. One more thing on what we were talking about on our previous topic. You said about, once a day or in between cases, that would be that 25% outside the judicial for Lubbock County Judge.
Well, understand also the duties of the Lubbock County Judge include emergency management director.
Right.
And so occasionally you're going to need to make sure that all of our first responders and all those, everybody's in place. So there's ongoing training in regards to that as well. So it's just a time management issue to be able to handle all of the jobs, 100% of the jobs of Lubbock County Judge.
Because you and your opponents, you've all talked about some changes that y'all would like to see with the Lubbock County Court and Lubbock County Commissioners, pay raises and fixing roads and maintaining what we have in Lubbock County. For those who are listening and saying, okay, well, if you're going to be spending all this time on the judicial side, how as a leader, and that I think that's how people look at the Lubbock County Judge as leading this team of people.
That's correct.
How can you lead the team of people effectively with only spending a limited time on those issues?
Well, if you know the layout of the Commissioner's Court, you've got the four commissioners that office right next to each other, and around the corner is the county judge. So doing effective leadership really means providing vision, providing direction, and those things are done because of who you are and how you interact and get along with people, and building consensus among those. I'm also a certified mediator, trained and certified by Lubbock County in the Office of Dispute Resolution to be a mediator. And so bringing people together and coming to consensus is part of my skills. And so this is what I want to bring to the county judge's seat as well, to be able to have those skills to bring people together, to find consensus, to work through those issues, find consensus when we're talking roads, find working relationships with our city and state, and even federal if necessary, because it has to be a partnership. When we're talking about roads, we have to build those as partnerships. And working with other departments, the Sheriff's Department, juvenile justice, working with the courts system, because that's a huge part of what Lubbock County does, is we provide justice for the entire county. And so being able to work with and consensus with all of those issues is a great, unique role that the Lubbock County Judge can do.
Let's talk about Loop 88. It's the future, and we see the future being planned right now with Loop 88. In the budget, Lubbock County Commissioners do put, I think in the last budget, about $7 million.
7.25.
Yeah, towards right-of-way purchases. Do you think, and I believe some of your opponents have brought this up, or at least one of your opponents has brought up, maybe taking a look at that and saying, okay, are we spending too much on this right now, Loop 88, and not taking care of Woodrow Road or other major roads in Lubbock County? How do you feel about that?
Well, again, Loop 88 highlights the partnership because that right now is Lubbock County's participation into the Loop 88 project. And so you bring in the state, you bring in the city. To be able to fund this project, it takes all of us to do that. 7.25 is the current amount that Lubbock County is committed to spending for the phase of Loop 88. There's likely to be more. Prioritizing budgetary items is exactly where you get that leadership and direction and vision. So yes, I mean, you need to get in there. Is Loop 88 important? It is. Is Woodrow Road important? It is. Is County Road 1435 important? Well, you bet it is. And so what we're doing is what we're talking about is prioritizing all of our resources. A few years ago, the county decided to consolidate their road crews. So rather than have, 4 graders and, 4 of everything to serve each precinct, they made the decision to consolidate those. Well, while that did save Lubbock County quite a bit of money, especially in equipment, it also provided us with a challenge to budget, not budget those, but at least administer those type of things. Make sure that those road crews are working the entire county. So, those priority things can be done and should be done. But it does take a partnership, and it takes consensus and everybody on the same page.
There was a story that came out earlier this week, and I'm sure you saw it, about UMC dropping about probably $1.3 million or so in beautification outside the hospital. And it reminded me of, during the debate, we talked about for those who are outside in Lubbock County, but outside the city limits, EMS service.
Yes.
And that was a big issue this past summer. Then it suddenly just dropped off the radar. Talk about that, because that is something that I still think that those in Shallow Water and West Carlisle and other places, they're still concerned with.
They're very concerned about that. And in fact, I'm the only candidate that actually lives outside the city limits of Lubbock. So I am very concerned about this issue of EMS, fire protection, sheriff's department protection as well. EMS protection is very much one of my concerns. In fact, one of my first jobs I will have as Lubbock County Judge is to bring the people to the table. We're going to bring the folks from UMC. We're going to bring the folks from West Carlisle, Shallow Water, Idalou, Slayton, all of those that provide EMS services, including, I know New Deal recently lost their ambulance service up there and just went to a first responder truck. And so we're going to bring in all those folks, and we're going to talk about how do we best serve all of the citizens of Lubbock County. UMC EMS right now is contracted to provide EMS services to the whole county. And so I want to make sure that they have a plan in place and they can show that they are providing adequate emergency services to the entire county. And that will be one that, well, right now, what they've said is we've got for non-emergency response, they have 40 minutes. For emergency response, 20. And Chad, that's not acceptable to me. I want to see a plan in place from UMC to lower that down to a standard that is much more acceptable and that will save people's lives. We're talking about lives here. We're not talking about just how can we save $1 here, $1 here. We're talking about saving lives. And so as county judge, that will be one of my first priorities is to bring all of the voices to the table and come up with a reasonable plan to be able to lower those response times.
Some of the candidates running either for county judge or even for county commissioner have talked about, instead of pay increases, pay decreases. How do you feel about that?
Well, right now, I'm running for judge. Somebody asked me the other day, do you know how much the county judge makes? And honestly, I don't know. I've never looked that up. This, to me, is not a job about money. It's not a job about what I make. It's a job about serving the people of Lubbock County. That salary is set. I will not accept a pay raise during my term of office. If there is a pay raise to be had, it can be for the next guy.
All right. Curtis Parrish, tell folks real quick how they can find out more information.
Curtis Parrish for Lubbock County Judge on Facebook and on the website, curtisparrishforcountyjudge.com.
All right. Curtis, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.